Today, we are going to get into one of my favorite Niner playoff games of all time. We got the comeback versus the New York Football Giants. Going to be a great show we got planned for you today. But before we get started today, we'd like to remind everybody to go to twitch.tv/, Niner Faithful Radio to catch all the streams to all our live shows. And also to remind everybody, for the faithful, by the faithful, pre-launch sales coming July 30th. Save 20% on all our designs. Go to ninerfaithfulradio.com/shop for more details. Go to seatgiant.com. Use the promo code ninerfaithfulradio to save on all your concert, theater, and sporting event tickets. That website again is seatgiant.com. The promo code is ninerfaithfulradio. Get your officially licensed gear by using our affiliate link. It costs you no more, and it really does help out the show. The link will be available in the description of the video on YouTube and the description in podcast form. Go to ninerfaithfulradio.com. Check out all our interviews, blogs, and previous episodes to every single one of our shows. Go ahead and follow us on social media on Facebook and Instagram at ninerfaithfulradio and on Twitter at ninerfaithfulr. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, let's start the show.
It is second down. Ryan takes the snap, throws the slant to the left side. It's Russell, intercepted! The 49ers pick it, and Navarro Bowman is redemption! Navarro Bowman running it all the way for the touchdown! No greater redemption, the man's seat. Navarro Bowman, who could not cover an onside kick, catches a deflected pass for an interception and runs it 7 miles for a touchdown.
You are now tuned in to Red and Gold Week 1, exclusively streamed at twitch.tv/Niner Faithful Radio.
Oh, take y'all back to January 5th, 2003. I remember it just like it was yesterday. A little 16-year-old, almost 17-year-old me getting ready for that would be not getting ready for, but that would be my junior year of high school. Junior year was a good year, not better than senior year though. But it was a legendary playoff matchup between the New York Football Giants and our beloved San Francisco 49ers at Candlestick Park. You know, it's funny because a lot of people always talk about, Niners Cry Girls, Niners Raiders, Niners Yams, Niners, that team in the Pacific Northwest we don't like. But everybody never really talks about the Niners and Giants. Niners and Giants actually are a pretty big rivalry, and some of the most physical, memorable games in our playoff history have come against the New York Football Giants. I have to say New York Football Giants, because if I say screw the Giants, I don't know, it just feels weird because I love my G-men. I love the orange and black. So it was the Niners had met the Giants in week 1 and beat them 16-13 in Giant Stadium of week 1 of that season. It was a physical game. There was many players fined for hits after that game and everything. It was you had Julian Peterson, maybe stirring the controversy a little bit, talking about how the best way he was going to stop Jeremy Shockey was to get physical with them all and up and down the field. And Jeremy Shockey had laughed at that. You had at some point in the first quarter, I guess Jeremy Shockey had tossed some ice behind his shoulder, and it came so close to the fans that the cops had to step in and separate to get between Jeremy Shockey and the fans. So it was definitely high impact, high intensity type of playoff matchup. And it was actually a little interesting tidbit. The Niners were 1-13 going into this game in playoff history when trailing after 3 quarters. The only win came in Super Bowl 23. So it was interesting. The starting lineup for the Niners defense that day was you had at D end, you had Cheeky O'Keefer and Andre Carter. And at D tackles, you had BY and Dennis Stubblefield. Linebackers were Julian Peterson, Derek Smith, and Mike Olberg. Our starting cornerbacks were Ahmad Plummer and Mike Rumpf, which is funny because I actually had an Ahmad Plummer jersey. Our starting safeties were Zach Bronson and Tony Parrish. And so the Giants started off the ball, and the Giants were moving the field, took the opening kickoff, and moved from their only 24-yard line to the Niners 33 in 8 plays. But luckily for the Niners, a pass went off of Ron Dane's hands, was tipped by Jeff Olberg, and then was tipped again by Julian Peterson, and then eventually was picked. And the very next play, Jeff Garcia hit T.O. on a short pass. T.O. broke 2 Giant tackles and ran it all the way in for a 76-yard touchdown, and it was 7-0 Niners. And, the game really could have started off any better. I mean, you maybe saw a little bit of precursor to how well the Giants were moving the ball before that pick, and it was a pretty fluky pick. So I think that you saw maybe a little bit about how the Giants were going to be able to move the ball pretty much, all but I would say halfway through the third quarter. And it was just, unfortunate turnover for them, unfortunate turnover for us to end of the drive and gave us that 7-0 lead. But the game couldn't have started better for the Niners. But I felt the game kind of took a turn on the Giants' third possession when they went 11 plays and Kerry Collins hit Amari Toomer for a 12-yard touchdown to tie the score at 7. The Giants, on their next possession after a Niners punt, made it 14-7 after Kerry Collins hit Jeremy Shockey for a 27-yard pass. He held on after being blasted by Zach Bronson. I mean, you saw that throughout for the game. The Niners were trying to be very physical with the Giants receivers, and they were trying to be very, very physical and kept on bouncing off. And I think that's actually one of the things where they started to wrap up and tackle, one of the things that actually ended up turning the game around. But on the next play, Kerry Collins hit Amari Toomer, and then 2 plays later, Jeremy Shockey jumped over Tony Parrish for a 2-yard touchdown, and it was 7-14 Giants. The Niners were finally able to get some more offense going besides that one play on their 4th possession. T.O. completed a 25-yard pass to Ty Streets on a reverse that set up Kevin Barlow's 1-yard touchdown that was overturned. It was initially called short, but was overturned by a Niners challenge, and the game was tied at 14. The Niners would get the ball, would force the Giants to punt, but Cedric Wilson muffed a punt and set New York up at the Niners 8. Man, a little bit of a precursor to what would happen, almost exactly 9 years later. A play that we will not talk about on this show, but and Amari Toomer's second touchdown on the very next play made it 21-14 Giants, and you could feel the momentum start to turn after that play, and you start to say, oh, wow, it's going to be a bit of a ball game here. Things went from horrible to worse, from worse to horrible when Jeff Garcia was picked with 2 minutes left in the first half. And 6 plays later, Toomer had his 3rd touchdown of the first half, and it was 28-14 to end the first half. It was I don't know how else to say it, but to say it was a straight domination by the Giants, by the football Giants. Ahmad Plummer, I mean, he was getting roasted. And he was our best cover corner, that season. And it was thought that, hey, we're going to have to give help to Mike Rumpf. So we're going to have Ahmad Plummer shadow Amari Toomer all game. And it did not work out well in the first half. Ahmad Plummer had given up 6 targets and 6 catches for 78 yards, 3 touchdowns, and it was not good. It was definitely let's say Brian Allen is type of performance. The Niners came in with the third worst defense on third down, and they gave up a 5 for 7 on third down, while they only completed and they also completed 3 of 5. And the Niners actually were the best third down conversion team in the NFL that year. The Niners starting offense, I just realized I didn't go over the Niners starting offense for that game. It was Jeff Garcia at quarterback. Left tackle was Derek Deese. Left guard was rookie Eric Heitman. Center Jeremy Newberry, who made the Pro Bowl that year. Right guard was Ron Stone, who also made the Pro Bowl. And right tackle was Scott Gregg, who actually had an amazing game. And I believe Mike, what did I forget his name right now? Mike Strahan actually only finished the game with like one pressure, and it actually was because Jeff Garcia ran right into it. The Niners O-line did not give up a sack all game. But T.O. and Ty Streaks were the receivers, along with J.J. Stokes. We started in a 3 wide receiver set. Garrison Hurst was the only running back. Fred Beasley was our fullback for that game. And Eric Johnson, who 2 years later set the NFL catches by tight end record with 82, got in at tight end. Eric Johnson, Jeremy Newberry, Ron Stone, Julian Peterson, and B.Y. were all Pro Bowlers on the Niners that year. But yeah, it was the Niners' time of possession in the first half was clearly in the Giants' favor, as you would expect. They had a time of possession advantage of 19 minutes and 8 seconds to 10 minutes and 52 seconds for the Niners. Red zone trips, the Giants were 3 for 3. The Niners were only 1 for 1. The Niners got outrushed 66 yards to 44 yards. The Niners actually didn't have that many rushing yards throughout the whole game, with us being down so much through most of it. And we were outpassed 194 to 136. The Giants had twice as many first downs, 16 to 8. And the Giants scored their 4 touchdowns on 7 drives, while the Niners scored 2 touchdowns on 6 drives. This is the stat that to me best described the first half. It was opponents' plays inside the opponent's side of the field. The Giants had 29 plays, and the Niners had a measly 4. I mean, that's simply a domination for the entire first half for the New York Football Giants. The second half didn't start any better for the Niners. After Fred Beasley was stopped on 4th down for no gain, the Giants needed only 6 plays to make the score 35 to 14 after Tiki Barbers took it in for 6 yards. And it really felt like the route was on. The Niners would go 3 and out on their second possession of the second half, and the Giants would add a 21-yard Matt Bryant field goal to make the score 38-14, finishing 7 out of 8 possessions and 4 in a row where the Giants had scored. It wasn't a very good start to the game, and it honestly looked like it was going to be that 44-3 game out in New York back in the 80s. But luckily for the Niners, that would be the last points the Giants would score. The Niners would go. The turning point, I feel that, though, this is where the game turned, and it was hard to tell. But when Shockey couldn't hold on to back-to-back touchdown tries that would all but sealed the game, and I think that you could see that the crowd and Julian Peterson were starting to get into Jeremy Shockey's head a little bit. He was getting very frustrated. the Giants were clearly losing their cool, which is funny because they were up 38, 14. But, they started kicking their helmets, started taking stupid penalties. I mean, this was truly the turning point of the game. The Niners would start to come back on the next possession, going on a 7-play, 70-yard drive that would be capped when T.O. broke a tackle and took it 26 yards for the house, and would also catch a 2-point conversion to make the score 38-22. And I think the biggest notice that you took of Michael Strahan is after the 2-point conversion when he pointed up to the scoreboard at T.O. And I think that you could tell that kind of fired up the crowd and fired up the Niners. And the momentum was definitely starting to switch in the Niners' favor. I mean, T.O. was dominant. I mean, for anybody who didn't watch T.O. play and didn't, only understand T.O. as a headache, go watch this game and go watch the sheer domination that T.O. had. And he could have had more. And honestly, I mean, Jerry's the GOAT, the greatest football player to ever play. But T.O., I mean, I don't know if I ever watched a receiver that physically dominant. He was a mismatch. You couldn't stop him. At that point, he had 7 catches, and he had it was like 70 catches for 170 yards or something like that. But he had 117 yards after the catch alone. I mean, that's just talk about yak monster. The Niners would force the Giants to go 3-and-out for the first time after all game when John Ellenberger, there's a name from Niner history, would sack Kerry Collins to force New York to punt, and the comeback was on. The Giants were starting to fall apart at this point after somebody hit Vinny Sutherland, who, big shout out to Vinny Sutherland. He's from the same city, West Palm Beach, Florida, as my daddy. So big shout out to Vinny Sutherland. He was hit after he was called for a fair catch and would tack on a 15-yard penalty to what was a very poor 29-yard punt. And the Niners would take advantage of it with the legendary field position at the New York's 27, and Garcia would take the first play in the fourth in for 14 yards with a beautiful block by J.J. Stokes and hit T.O. for the 2-pointer, and now it was 38-30, and, you could just start to feel Candlestick come alive, and you could just tell it was a matter of time before the Niners took the game over. The Giants would get the ball back and find a little bit of rhythm that they had in the first half with moving the ball to the Niners 24. But fresh out of retirement, my hero. I mean, honestly, I've never bought another team's jersey, but I was close to buying Trey Junkin's jersey after this game just to troll Giants fans. I had a couple classmates and a teacher that were Giants fans, and you don't know how bad I wanted to wear his jersey. The following Monday at school, it was man, I wanted to wear his jersey so bad. He was the Niners' hero in this game. He would mess up the first snap of the game. Allen, the holder. Oh, sorry. Wow, that's the last play. Fresh out of retirement, Trey Junkins would miss the snap, causing the 42-yard field goal to be shanked wide left, allowing the Niners to take over at their own 32-yard line with 3:01 left to pay. Jeff Garcia would lead the Niners on probably his best drive of his career, definitely as the Niners quarterback. And the Niners would come all the way back and take a 39-38 lead when Jeff Garcia hit tie streaks for a 13-yard touchdown on 2nd and 10. But Jeff Garcia's 2-point conversion would be picked off, giving the Niners only a 1-point lead with 1 minute left in the game, and the Giants having 2 timeouts, only needing a field goal to win. But yet again, I mentioned it earlier, the Giants were falling apart. Sean Williams took a penalty. T.O. took an unsportsmanlike penalty. Sean Williams took a unsportsmanlike penalty, which offset. And then after on the touchdown play, and then after on the 2-point conversion, T.O. would get into it with number 26, and they would call offsetting penalties. And then Sean Williams would take a penalty and get ejected after he ripped off Jeremy Newberry's helmet and started throwing punches at him. And Jeremy Newberry was from the hood, and I wouldn't want to mess with Jeremy Newberry. And so you could tell the refs got in the way of them and honestly probably saved Sean Williams' life at that point. I remember I was lucky to meet Jeremy Newberry when they were putting Jeff Garcia into the San Jose State Ring of Honor. And I remember he signed my Niners wallet, and we had just lost to the Yams the week before. And, I was telling him some couple choice words about the Rams, and he looked at me, winked, and smiled, and he said, "Don't even trip. We're getting that ass next time." And so that's the kind of attitude that Jeremy Newberry had. And his family who were from the Bay Area, were famous for throwing a tailgate party for the players after every Niner game. So the Giants would start their final drive on their own 48, but would move the ball to the Niners 23 in 5 plays, and with 6 seconds left in the game, lined up for the game-winning field goal. Now, I think that this deserves a little bit of history to this. Matt Bryant, the Giants' field goal, was 9 of 9 that year on field goals in the fourth quarter and in overtime. It was honestly, everybody felt like the Giants were going to win. It was the flashback to the 90 NFC Championship game, or the 91 NFC Championship game, all over. Or the 90 NFC Championship game, January of 91. It was a flashback all over again. But probably the craziest Niner play I ever have seen commenced after the ball was snapped. Trey Junkin messed up the snap again. Allen the holder, took it back, went to pass. Chicky O'Keefer drags down a Giants player. There were flags everywhere. The Giants were jumping up and down thinking it was going to be PI. And it was funny because one of my group home brothers, I guess you could call him, had actually turned off the TV, and I was listening to the game on the radio, and he yanked my radio out of my hands, which caused me to actually miss the play live. And so I'm scrambling to try to turn the TV back on and everything, and I turned it on, and all I see is a Niner player on the ground with a Giants player on the ground, Giants players jumping up and down, and flags all over the place, and I thought it was pass interference, or at least a penalty on the Niners. And I was about to throw up and everything like that. But luckily, one of the greatest calls of the refs, the Giants had men ineligible downfield, which negated the pass interference. The penalty was called on Rich Seabort, and the ball game was over. The Niners completed the second biggest NFL playoff comeback and tied for 5th overall biggest comeback in NFL history at that point. The second biggest comeback in Niner history. Man, it was legendary. It was the greatest play ever. I loved it. It was amazing. It was the best. Niners won it. I mean, the catch-2 proved to me that never count the Niners, any play until the last play. But this taught me to never give up besides the score. The Niners can come back from any score, and as long as there's time left on the clock, the Niners can get it done. It was an amazing game. T.O. would finish the game T.O. would finish the game with 11 targets, 9 catches, 177 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Jeff Garcia finished the game 27 of 44 for 331 yards, 3 touchdowns passing, 7 attempts rushing, 60 yards with a touchdown. He was the Niners' leading rusher after being outgained in the first half as far as yardage, 260 to 180 in the first half. The Niners outgained the Giants 238 to 201 in the second half. The time of possession of the second half, the Niners they still got out possessed, but not by as far as a wide margin, just a little over a minute at 15:31 to 14:29. The Niners held the Giants to 1 of 6 on the second half. We're going to go ahead and take a little commercial break right here, and then we'll come back and wrap everything up. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. The Niners won the game 39 to 38. Amazing, amazing year by the red and gold. We're gonna go ahead and go over some stats for the last few minutes here. Julian Peterson, who to me was probably the defensive MVP of that game, had 1 interception, 2 pass defended, a sack, 9 combined tackles, 7 solo, 2 assists, 1 tackle for loss. Let's see, quarterback hits. Wow, they didn't credit anybody for quarterback hits in this game. The leading tackler for the game was Derek Smith, though. He had 10 combined tackles, 8 solo, 2 assists. Andre Carter, who I actually met and went to Oak Grove High School right here in San Ho. So Andre Carter gets when I build Faithful Studios, Andre Carter's jersey is going to go on the wall of the 408. Finished the game with 5 combined tackles, 3 solo, 1 assist, and 1 tackle for loss. Great game. Jeff Olberg, San Ho, also going on the wall of the 408. San Ho's own had 5 tackles, 3 solo, 1 assist, and 1 tackle for loss. BY, let's be real, probably one of the greatest D tackles in team history. Finished the game with 2 combined tackles, 2 solos, and 1 tackle for loss. Oh, just an overall complete rebound from before. Let's see. Oh, there was Matt Allen was the holder's name. Let's see. No more to really go over this game about. But yeah, I thought that to me, this showed the red and gold at their highest form. And this is honestly one of my favorite Niner games in history. Let me go ahead and let me know in the comments section. I see a couple of you in here right now. Let me see your comments on what you thought about the best Niner game in history, and we'll go ahead and wait a few minutes while we get some of those questions in. But yeah, as we wait for the questions, we would like to give a special shout out to, is this cheese or chapa? My favorite kitty, Chubba Wubbas. Okay, Chubba, it's time to do it. Say, my name is Chubba, the ladies love her. When I do the Chubba dance, I coo, the ladies swoon, cause they don't stand a chance. And Chubba's leaving me, cause Chubba doesn't love me. Um, we like to remind everybody, like we do on every show, to please spay and neuter your cats and dogs. And also, if you are thinking about getting a kitty or a doggy or a rabbit or any type of animal, please consider adopting. If you don't want to be on screen, you're not doing a very good job of it. If you know, my best friend, one of my best friends here is foster kittens. You might want to consider that, or at least go to your local HP. What's it called again? A. Okay, what she just said. Um, Go there and adopt. You know, we don't want to see any animals get sick or injured or be euthanized because they can't get adopted. I mean, most of these cats that are found, only 25% of them get adopted. And I'm not trying to pull on people's heartstrings. Well, maybe just a little bit. But, we really don't want to see these animals get euthanized. I mean, who doesn't love the Chubba Wubbas? He's just sitting there. Look, look, look. Don't you just love that? Look at him. Oh, wait. Should not have done that. We don't want to mess up the router. That was a very bad idea on your boy's half. Um, we are not going to be doing that again. Um, okay, I have to fix this. Okay. Um, yeah, you'd think after doing this for like 4 years, I would be, pretty damn good at it. But what? So 6 days. Next Saturday will actually mark the 4th year anniversary since I did my first stream of Niner Faithful Radio. Actually, pretty proud of myself. The show's grown a lot. To think I started the first episode, at the library, and I was a complete wreck. Nobody wants to watch that episode. I was so nervous and so excited. Um, Let me see. Are they gonna allow us to run another ad here? Yeah, you know what? Or you know what? Let me add. We're gonna go ahead and do a little bit of a longer break here. If I can add it. Let me see. Add a 3-minute break. Yeah, let's go ahead and we'll run a 3-minute break right here, and then we'll go ahead and probably wrap it up. All right, and we're back. We've probably been back for a little bit. And I need to get this whole break thing under control. Oh, let me see. How long have we been streaming? Let me see. Yeah, we definitely need to 35 minutes. Yeah, wow, we need to get take some more notes about this game and everything like that. But yeah, I think that you know this was definitely an important game in Niner history. This would actually be the last Niner playoff win. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it would be the last Niner playoff win until Colin Kaepernick would beat the Whackers. In the wild card game. Or no, sorry. Wow. Until the great game, which we're probably actually going to get into, the catch three against the Saints was actually this was the last playoff win until then. So it was about a good what that would be January of 2011, almost a good 10 years, between playoff wins. And so this was definitely one that would stick into, you know, I think it's actually probably over 8 years that it was between Niner playoff wins. And I think that what's important to talk about, between, the Harbaugh era and for the fans who came, after the Harbaugh era and Jamie, if you're watching, you know, this is probably a little bit before your time. This wasn't that long after the dynasty. Jeff Garcia was the quarterback that took over for Steve Young. So this was the end of the Steve Young era. You had 99, 2000. We made the playoffs in 2001 and 2002. So this was the faithful believing the Niners were back. This wasn't, the decade of darkness that, preceded it. This was, hey, a couple year rebuild, but the Niners are back. We're going to the Super Bowl and Super Bowl or bust, you know. And I really do think, looking back in my now, that's over half my life ago, a lot more mature in football. Was this a championship caliber roster? No. I mean, if we didn't bump into Tampa Bay that next week, who were the number one seed and eventually went on to be Super Bowl champions, you never know. But Tampa Bay was clearly the better team, and we weren't a Super Bowl caliber uh, roster. And this was actually Steve Mariucci's last win as a Niner head coach. He would actually be fired the next week. And it's so funny, just I'm kind of a little bit reminiscing. I remember, after this game, I was at where a lot of the San Jose State athletes live. It's called Spartan Village. One of my group home staff was a San Jose State football player. And I remember running around Spartan Village going, "We'll see you in Tampa. We'll see you in Tampa." Just going psycho with my Jeff Garcia jersey with that Niner hat that had just the SF. It came out in '99, I remember, and I still had it at that point, but it was just the SF on it. It didn't have the oval. And I remember it was the hat Steve Young was wearing on the sideline of my first Niner game. And so that I went to in '99, which was the first week. Jeff Garcia's actually first career start. And so I remember, I wore that hat, got that hat specifically because, Steve Young was wearing it. And so I remember just running around and I wore my Jeff Garcia jersey. If you look, my class picture that was taken that year was me wearing my Jeff Garcia jersey. And so it was definitely a legendary moment for the Niner Empire. Let me see how much more time do we have. Let's see. We're going to do some little cool things and figure out. Let me see. We're going to go ahead and remind everybody some tickers. ninerfaithfulradio.com. ninerfaithfulradio.com/shop. Oh, this is cool. All right. So I think we're going to practice a little outro a little bit better. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and practice the outro a little bit earlier this week. So we'd like to thank everybody for listening to today's show. And we would like to remind everybody, if you're listening to us on YouTube, please remember to subscribe and hit that notification bell to be notified whenever we upload a new video. You can find us everywhere to you subscribe to podcasts or at ninerfaithfulradio.com/subscribe. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe. You can watch this show and every show we do on Niner Faithful Radio streamed live exclusively at twitch.tv/ninerfaithfulradio. To remind everybody, the For the Faithful by the Faithful clothing pre-launch sale is coming July 30th. Go to ninerfaithfulradio.com/shop to get more details. Use the promo code ninerfaithfulradio at SeatGiant.com to save on all your concert, theater, and live sporting event tickets. That website again is SeatGiant.com, and the promo code is ninerfaithfulradio. You can get your officially licensed Niner gear from shop49ers.com by using our affiliate link. It costs you no more, and it really does help out the show. The link will be available in the description of the podcast and the YouTube video. Go to ninerfaithfulradio.com to check out all our interviews, previous shows, blogs, and pretty much any dope things we got on ninerfaithfulradio.com. Go there, check it out. You can follow us on social media on Facebook and Instagram at ninerfaithfulradio, on Twitter at ninerfaithfulr. Catch us at YouTube on ninerfaithful and Twitch. Follow us at ninerfaithfulradio. Please, if you are an Amazon Prime member, please use your free Prime subscribe that you have to renew every month, but it's free. Consider it using at us, or you can go ahead and use it, pay for it, and help out the show. We really appreciate that. I think that's going to do it for this week. For Super Duper Moderator Kim, Jason, Jamie, Nate, Jimmy, Dylan, and myself, we'd like to thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Red and Gold Rewind. We'd like to remind everybody to tune in tomorrow at 3 p.m. here on the West Coast for Faithful Talk, where every faithful has a voice. We shall see y'all tomorrow. Till then, faith, love, and happiness. Go Niners.
It is second down. Ryan takes the snap, throws the slant to the left side. It's Russell, intercepted! The 49ers pick it, and Navarro Bowman is redemption!